Hello and welcome to Chinwag. I'm Kim from Pooches Galore.
And I'm Carla at Completely Canine.
And this week we are hopefully, she says, going to give you lots of inspiration as to different things that you can maybe do on your dog walks that you've either done in the past, forgotten about, or you've never heard of or never thought of before to make your summer walks a little bit more interesting, add a little bit of variety in, change things up a bit.
Enriching.
Enriching,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Hmm.
I know I'm terrible at doing the same walk for a coffee and back. So I think,
Mm. You've got an agenda.
yeah, maybe it's going to give me some inspiration as well, because we do get a bit stuck in our ways as to
Mm. Yeah. And I think a lot of
routes.
people like to try and relax themselves on a walk if they've had a bit of a rubbish day at
Yeah,
work. It's a let's just go out, forget about everything. And then, yeah, sometimes the dogs maybe just need a little bit more to make their day more interesting because it's their one
absolutely.
hour out the house. So,
That's exactly it, isn't it? I know I'm
mm,
terrible. I've had a busy day at work. I just go on a route that I know takes an hour. I can
mm,
do it. We don't have to think about it. It's
mm,
easy.
mm.
So yeah, so hopefully this will, if for nobody else, this will help me in my dog walks.
Excellent.
So there are loads of different things that we can do with our dogs on dog walks, and some of these are going to be really obvious. I think people, I'm sure people who are listening will be like, yeah, I do that all the time, but
Mm.
you might have done it in the past, forgotten about it, or just something that's never really occurred to you. And hopefully, fingers crossed, there's some new ones along the way as well.
Yeah, and we've really sort of gone through before the call and tried to think of some interesting things because
Yeah.
sometimes again we get quite complacent in the way that we walk our dogs as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I think maybe thinking about what the dog walk is to a person, a human, and what the dog walk is to a dog, we
Yeah.
can start to try and meet each other in the middle a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like all of these walks need to be super, super different and enriching. It's nice for you to both have that experience that's familiar and,
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be
what
every
you do.
walk. We're not saying every
No.
walk you go on, you have to do something that is
Mm,
unique, enriching, different, but either thinking about it across a week where you're trying to vary things
mm.
across the kind of maybe 14 walks that you do a week, or just 5 minutes of a walk is a little
Yes.
bit different compared,
Yeah.
and then the other 55 minutes or 35 minutes, however long
Yeah.
you're out for, is just your normal walk. I
Yeah,
think
that's it.
from the human and the dog, you're both going to get loads out of changing things
Yeah.
up. And trust us, we're not, just because we're dog trainers, we're not going to sit here and be like, so you could do recall training, you could do loose lead
No.
walking training.
No, how as much as we'd love to think that that is
Of
accessible
course.
to everyone and everyone's got time and energy to do that, it's also quite boring for everyone
Yeah.
to have to do that all the time. But I think there's a bit of a loop that we get, a cycle that we get into of we need to take the dog out.
Yeah.
Becomes a little bit of a chore sometimes, I think. And we need to burn the energy as efficiently and quickly as possible so the dog is rested and calm
Yeah.
afterwards. And I do think that balls and ball triggers can kind of come into that quite quickly. And
Yeah.
I'm not averse to them 100% of the time,
No,
but I don't think people should rely on them for every walk that they go on because it's not really safe for the dogs. It's not good for their bodies, and also it just winds them up. So,
it does. I don't think it calms them as much as people want it to. I
mm,
think they think, oh, like owning spaniels, I could throw that ball all day. They're going to come back and just want more. Like it's not going to
mm,
have the same effect as maybe something like a sniffari, where I'm
mm,
really getting the dogs to use their nose more. That is
mm.
I'm going to come home to a really tired, contented dog that's ready to
Yeah,
rest and sleep compared to a
mm,
dog who is wired because they've been playing repetitive fetch.
that's it. And it's that sense of fulfillment, isn't it? I feel like
Yeah.
when the dog's done a ball chucking session, the human's more fulfilled than the
Yeah.
dog. And I feel like when we go out and we do snifaris, the humans not necessarily see that the dog is like exhausted
Yeah.
and fulfilled, but actually for them, they're using something that is so natural and powerful for them. And is it three times the speed of wearing out the dog than a
Something
walk
like that. Yeah, it's something
using
like
scent
that.
work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as well that you can combine the two. So if
Mm,
your dog is ball obsessed, instead of throwing the ball for them repetitively, hide it, get them to
yeah.
find it, throw it
Yeah.
into the long grass where they've got to hunt for it,
Yeah.
compared to the neatly lawn neatly mowed football pitch that they can see the ball and they're chasing after it. Make it challenging in a different way, and everyone's going to get more out of that.
Absolutely. And it's all those, dogs get little endorphin hits from problem solving and seeking and finding. So actually, you're just gonna, for a dog that perhaps lacks a bit of confidence, it's also a really good way, an easy peasy way of just making a slight alteration to what you already do. It doesn't take you any more real energy and effort, where your dog's actually going to feel more fulfilled and more confident after the walk.
Yeah, exactly. Millie used to do it herself when she was a ball obsessed dog. Like she was absolutely, you couldn't go on a walk without a ball. But she would, as you went to throw the ball, she would turn away from you so she couldn't see where it was going, because she enjoyed the hunting of it. So you would get the ball to throw it, she would already start running. And then her favorite thing was losing the ball and then having to find it. Like she did that herself, obviously, because
such an only child.
Everyone knows she was the best dog in the world, but she would do that. She was like, I don't want to see I don't want to just run and get the ball and bring it back to you. I want to find it.
Love that.
Yeah, some dogs will kind of find their own fun as well.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
I love that. So you said about 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙤𝙬.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what a 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙤𝙗 is, in case everyone doesn't know what it is?
So a 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙤𝙗 is getting your dog to actively use their nose. So they're passively using their nose all the time. Some dogs will more actively use it naturally. Others need a little bit more encouragement. Stanley sometimes forgets he has a nose, I think. So he's definitely one that needs more encouragement to use it. But it could be finding something and hiding treats so that you're really promoting. If you've got a dog like Stan who's not massively nose focused, he definitely uses his eyes more. You could find like a tree trunk and hide treats on it and get them to really sniff. Some dogs will do that naturally. They'll want to sniff things, but it's going on a walk that's led by the dog's nose rather than you.
Yeah. And that's like, it probably feels quite foreign to a lot of people because they associate the sniffing the ground with, or the sniffing the ground with pulling. So if the dog does start tracking something and following, people panic and they want to pull the dog back. And it's not to say that you should let your dog pull you around when you walk everywhere or pull you across roads. It has to be safe, but actually just encouraging that slow, you go off, you don't need to concentrate on me, I'll just follow the direction that you're interested in.
Yeah. And some dogs will, your scent dogs. So generally anything with a big ear will like to use their nose more. Kind of smaller ears, they're normally going to use their eyes more. It's a general rule of thumb if you're not sure if your dog's going to be massively scent driven or not. So your spaniels, dachshunds, bassets, those kind of scent hounds. And then you've got your sight hounds. So if you've got a dog that does use their eyes more, you might need to use food or toys to encourage them to get their nose down on the ground a bit more.
Yeah, and you can build stuff like that up in the garden. So you can literally leave a trail of a line of treats across the floor. So I remember back when I did my original scent work learning myself, my CPD, like 10 years ago, it was 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙤𝙗 stuff, and it was her scent work classes. And that's one of the things she did, which was literally hold your dog back and then you leave a trail of treats across the floor, and then you make the gap between them bigger, and you just teach them actually hunting on the ground's good, and then you put less and less treats down and they'll keep their nose down, and it's just a little game you can play in the garden to encourage it, or
in a safe environment in a field. You have to be careful about other dogs coming in and stealing the treats, but if you've got somewhere 100%. That would work, that would be perfect. And I often say to people as well, these are the walks where you could put a podcast on. Hopefully you're listening to us when you do this. Or some music or something, because they are going to feel very different to that walk, which is about exercising and walking and being active and go on your walk. They're going to feel quite slow, quite sedate, and that is what we want. So these are the ones to put your headphones on to. Obviously keep an eye on your dog, but just slow down everything, like let yourself be a bit slower in the moment with it.
And observe. I feel like it's a really enlightening way to learn about what your dog likes, dislikes, how they problem solve, the small little head tilts or changes that you see in them when they notice something or they pick up a scent, and what steps do they take to track it?
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating to watch. And I think if people just try and step back from their agenda of where they want to get the coffee machine that they want to get to.
Yeah, sorry, that is me.
Yeah, it would be me too. Then we take your mind off the goal. We're very goal orientated as humans, aren't we? So we talk about this A to B walk. That's where we want to end up, and we want to go via here. So it's usually an A to B and back, or it's a loop that we walk. Whereas this is sort of a, if we've got half an hour, we're gonna meander out for 15 minutes, and then we can sort of slowly make our way back, just follow the dog back home. And
ideally you want them on a slightly longer lead than probably most people are used to using, something like 5 meters or 3 meters, just a little bit longer, as long as it's safe, a little bit longer, so the dog has a little bit more freedom than the kind of standard 6-foot lead where you're holding on, they're really quite close to you. So giving them that little bit extra space to allow them to make decisions, it can be like just that little change on its own can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I would say, we can plug a little bit here. You love the 𝙒𝙚𝙗𝙗𝙗 ones, and I love hand grips. So they're both really good leads for this. But I would say if you haven't had your dog on one of these longer lines before, do make sure that you have a harness on them and it's attached to a harness. Or if your dog doesn't wear a harness flat out, then you attach it to the collar, but you only maybe do a little bit of time of giving them that distance.
On the 𝙒𝙚𝙗𝙗𝙗 one, because they do leads that like literally fold in half. So if you've got to walk somewhere and you think, actually giving my dog 5 meters, they're going to be on a road and I don't feel like I've got the lead handling skills that will keep everyone safe, looking for those leads that like double over, so they can be half the length. And 𝙒𝙚𝙗𝙗𝙗 do 2 different lengths of this, so you can choose which one's going to work, and then when you get to the more open area you can like expand it. That's another way to do. Please do not do this on a retractable lead.
No, never,
ever.
No.
Because that's not safe. So there's lots of different leads on the market, and you just need to find the one that is going to suit your needs in this.
Totally cool.
But anything using the dog's nose is going to be excellent.
So if we spin on the other side of that, so we've just done more like nose orientated, 𝙒𝙗𝙗𝙗 zen kind of walk. Let's go for slightly more active but controlled, and let's go for parkour.
Love it.
Parkour
Stan so excels at this. This is his. He is. I should have, and I could get back into it, but he would have made a brilliant agility dog. He was a brilliant agility dog. He was too fast for me. That was the problem.
I can believe it.
We had to do a lot of distance control, and then COVID got in the way, and it all just kind of fell apart. But he was really good. He loves walking on walls. He will jump over anything, apart from the style I wanted him to jump over yesterday. I'm very confused about that. I was like, we do this all the time. But looking for so we should probably explain what parkour is. I've just jumped in. Do you want to do the explainer on this one?
So when you think of human parkour, it's very different. It is not dogs jumping across buildings. I would get them doing that anyway. Parkour is kind of using the environment around you, to me, to have the dog using their brain, all 4 of their limbs, and moving on and over and around things.
Agility on a walk, in it really.
It basically is agility on a walk, but more controlled.
And
so
it's not
the
a
point
course.
I would say it is not, for me, it's not about throwing your whole body at something. It's thinking carefully about your foot placement, where you're going to go next, planning ahead and stuff like that. And I think it's so good, not only for humans who are quite anxious, but for dogs who are quite anxious, because you are pairing back together their brain and their body. So they're there in the present moment and they're not scanning and worrying about things.
I do stuff with Stan all the time just because he absolutely loves it. He loves jumping over stuff. So the higher that I can find, the better. So there's this sign, looks like a serial killer sign. When you like the start of a horror film, and it's just it's written in red as well. Just a sign saying
beware.
It is kind of. It says Crimplewood on it, and it's probably about the height of my hip. He loves jumping. He gets to it and he looks at me like, "Oh, we're jumping over it." But even walking on tree trunks, that are like fallen, that are nice and wide, walking on those. Stan loves to walk along a wall like a child. park benches, you can go on them, over them, through them, under them. It's just looking at the environment. Paws on stuff. So if there's something, you get your dog to put their paws up on.
It's finding opportunities absolutely everywhere. It's as long as it's not someone's front garden.
Yes.
Or a human. No, it's really cute because I was walking my brother's 2 little dogs, both rescues, through the woods yesterday morning, and they're getting so much more confident. One of them now is off lead, one of them's on a long line because she's part husky, and you just never quite know. And I was walking straight forward with them, and then there was a little way for you to go left and a little way for you to go right, and then straight in front there was a fallen tree, and I would say it was up to kind of my waist height. And they are not big dogs, they're quite little. And I was just walking forward, and both of them, you could see it, they were like excited, and they literally just like flew over the top of it and down the other side. And I was like, they are not that agile. And also they are not that confident. And the little endorphin rush, or big endorphin rush, that they would have just got from that shows me so much about how far they've come in their sort of confidence over the years. And it was really nice. So yeah, just really encourage it, really allow it, and just make sure that you sort of have fun.
And it's not serious. It's not, we're not, there's no competitions for this. This is just about finding stuff. And then it makes you as a human really aware of the environment and looking at stuff that your dog could be into. Like if I see a fallen tree, and let's say Stan's gone a different way and there's a fallen tree across the path, I will recall him because I know he'll come and he'll leap over the tree. And I don't need a recall in that moment. I just know that he will love that. Like you were saying, he'll just love the jumping over.
100%. When we're in gun dog sessions, sometimes I do my catch-ups like out in wherever. So we'll go to wooded areas, and I will specifically find an area where there's a low-lying log or a low-lying tree. And the dogs will never be forced to jump over it. They can well run around it, but I would say 100% of them jump over it on the way, pick up the item, and then jump over it on the way back, because they're like, yes, dolphins. It's great fun.
Yeah, it is. And if you think that maybe 90% of the time they just trot along, so it's just that little 10%. Just you've got to be safe, you've got to be sensible about it. And for some dogs, you're going to have to build it up. For other dogs, you're not going to have to. So
and obviously if you've got puppies and old dogs or dogs with injuries, you can do a bit of it, but you just do like where a tree's been cut, there's a really tiny stump really low on the floor, or maybe different surfaces, so different types, textures of surfaces, and you just get them used to that instead.
It's just thinking about it logically, but it is really good fun. And then when you get like Stan, I actively look for really challenging stuff to get him to jump, because he loves it so much, and he's so agile when he wants to be. And then yesterday when I was like, just jump over the stile, I'll get to you, and I was like, jump over the stile,
make my life easier. Cool.
So I think it's just thinking about it, and then you can make it really fun. So you've got urban parkour. You can do it in towns, and you can do it on your more rural walks as well. It's just thinking about the environment. And one of my loves is running with my dog. I know this is niche, this isn't going to be for everyone at all, but a little bit of canicross rather than a walk, I just love.
And canicross doesn't have to be you strapped to your dog. It can be a gentle jog with your dog off leads.
Exactly. But they will like the picking up of pace. And if you've got a slightly reactive dog, sometimes they are a little bit better when they're running than when they're walking.
Yes.
I think it gives you a little bit of a different way of seeing places. I like to wear a waist belt. I don't use a canicross belt. I have one that's because I like to have my phone, treats, poo bags. I also like somewhere to carry the poo as well. I don't like there's nothing worse than having to run because you haven't got anywhere to put the poo bag. So I have quite a utility belt type running belt that wouldn't be competition perfect allowed. And we just go off and explore.
And again, you don't have to have a route for
that.
Have
a route. You can do trails, you can do fells, you can do roads. You just need to be a bit more careful on the roads. It's a lot of pounding for your dog. But it is just a different way. And if you are a runner and you have a dog, for me, it really just saved me a lot of time. Because I can kill two birds with one stone quite quickly. And Stan loves it. So some dogs are going to love it, some dogs are not. And again, and some people are going to love it, some people are not. Some people are going to be like, no, I like to run on my own and I like to walk my dog, and that's fine. But you can combine the two, and dogs really enjoy it. So
yeah. And just be aware with it that obviously in the UK now we're coming into summer. So
yeah,
Canicross season officially is not going to be happening over summer. But if you want to run with your dog, do it super, super early in the morning. If it's, you know, nice and cool, do it in shaded areas, do it later in the evening and for short periods of time. It's not going to be, I mean, not many of you are probably going to want to run for a full 45 minutes anyway yourselves. So
I also think as well, if you haven't ever run with your dog, you're going to have to build it up. And so you can start doing early morning short runs with them now. And then as the weather gets cooler, your dog will also be able to run for longer. So it will kind of pair quite nicely.
Yeah.
Or run in the rain, which we've
got
quite a lot of at the minute.
Yeah. I love running in the rain when it's warm.
Yes. We've just had too much of it. It's just too much. Can go away now. There's no balance at the minute. It's either really hot for long periods of time. There was talk of a hosepipe ban here, and then we've just had torrential rain for a week. Like,
I'm so annoyed because I didn't set up my water butt before I left for holiday.
Oh, it would have overflowed.
I just could have watered my entire garden for the whole summer with that, but I just didn't. I didn't even leave the lid off of it, so some could collect in there. Just didn't think.
No.
Silly me.
Well, I think it came as a bit of a surprise to everyone, didn't it, about the rain? So
yeah,
I'm going to Barcelona tomorrow, so you can bring on it there.
I hope it rains for you.
I've looked at the weather. I think I'm okay.
Oh man, it's going to be so good.
One thing I really like to do, especially in the school holidays, is hire a secure field. And we're really lucky where we are. There's quite a few really good ones.
Yeah, we have a few around here.
And give a shout out especially to Hopewell in 𝘏𝙬𝙬, if anyone's listening locally, because they don't just have secure fields, but they've got secure walks as well.
That's nice.
Which, because sometimes I think people can get a little bit bored in a field, and as much as there's bits in there to do, sometimes an hour of being in a secure field can be quite a long period of time. So the secure walks, and she has a sensory field as well, which just adds different elements. So
yeah, we've got quite a few more and more every year around us, and there are a couple of amazing ones that are always fully booked out. One of them's a wild woods, so you can hire out the woods basically, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Some of them have got little swimming water lake things in them and stuff like that, so it's really cool actually, especially again if you've got a reactive dog or you've got a dog who, you know, just needs a little bit of something, or if you're injured, you can't walk your dog.
Or for me, it kills two birds with one stone, because it entertains Alice and the dog. I've walked the dog, I've entertained the child.
I've walked Alice.
It's all done. But it, you know, and you can pick what kind of field you want. Do you want one with agility kit in? Do you want a sensory field? Do you want to go for a walk? Does your dog like water? And then you can allow them safely to do stuff and you don't have to watch them as much as you often do on a walk as well. Sometimes it's just easier. No lead. You can do training, you can have fun. I think sometimes from a human's point of view, especially if you've got an anxious dog or a reactive dog or a fearful dog, anything that means you just have to be on the ball a little bit more, it just allows you to just not think. And that sometimes then allows you to watch your dog in a different way and go back to all the other stuff that we're talking about. Be like, actually, God, they love sniffing. Let me include more of that on my walk. Or they just love running over stuff all the time. So,
or swimming, or
exactly, whatever it is. Yeah. So I think that they can be really useful.
And equally as well, you can do recall practice, because if you've got a puppy or an adolescent and you're like, I need to take those steps towards letting them off, but I'm really not sure, then actually, you know, we were talking about proofing now in different environments, like these off-lead secure spaces that have different distractions in them. Great way to do it. And equally as well, if you then need to do it around another dog, you can pair up with somebody to hire a field and you can practice doing your recalls. And it's you can it's a controlled manner. However, your dogs still get that freedom and you don't have to worry about their safety.
Yeah, totally. I think they're really good. And if you've got an old dog that just wants to plod and sniff, A lot of the secure fields will have like a little hut that you can sit in, and you can just let your dog plod and sniff, and it doesn't have that frustration that sometimes people get of like, oh God, it's just
I quite like it for international rescues as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their, we've spoke about this before, where a lot of it is that a lot of their lead frustration, barrier frustration, and their lack of agency that they have now that they've come over here, and lack of ability to make decisions. If you go somewhere like that and you spend 45 minutes and just let them do what they want within reason so that they're safe, you give them that boost of, you get to make decisions, you can go where you want, no one's going to tell you what to do, and it's just a nice way of them having that little fix.
I did a session on Saturday in a secure field. I don't do sessions in secure fields very often, but this particular dog, who I love to pieces, Munsterlander, so in my mind just a massive spaniel,
beautiful,
which I know they're not, but in my head, and he loves to steal toys, and he will run away and he won't give them back, and it causes a lot of stress, because if he finds something like a plastic bottle on a walk, that is a toy to him. So we decided to use the secure field so we could have him off the lead, because I said to the owner, I think what's happened is we add a lot of value into that toy when the dog's got it, because we're so focused on getting the dog back and keeping them safe, that we add so much value onto that item that we're kind of causing the problem, and we're causing it to repeat. Whereas if we go to a secure field, we can give him the toy, and we are going to go and sit in the hut, and we're going to just completely ignore him, and we're going to play it out. It allows you to play things out. And after about 20 minutes, he was like, do you want this toy? Like, can we play together? And
he gonna chase me or not?
He was like, oh, okay, cool. And we could see that actually it was just a big game, which is what we were confident it was, but it was nice to just run it through. And within 40 minutes, he was dropping on cue. And it just being in that field just allowed us to just not worry. And so little things like that can make a huge difference.
Little Alfie's like that, who I walked this morning, who, if any of you heard, we had an ant powder incident on the last walk with him, so I was determined not to end him up in the vets from this walk.
I mean, it's a low bar, but important.
And we were okay. But he's the same, where he will actively search, a retriever, actively search for anything on his walk that he can find, keep. And the retriever bit wasn't quite built in yet. So he would just go and run away. So today I was working on, dropping something environment and then running in the opposite direction, and he would scoop it up, chase me, and then we could do drops. So for him, it was that he's so used to, because he's a bit of a womble when he likes to pick stuff up, the panic of, is he going to swallow it as a puppy, going in and grabbing it. Whereas giving him 10 meters on a lead in a big open space, I was like, drop, leg it, and then he's like, oh wait, oh my god, chase you with the thing in my mouth. And
so secure fields have a lot of benefits. I like them a lot.
Let's go. One of both of our favorites, silent walks.
Love a silent walk.
I have set this up as a challenge for whole school homework before, and it is brilliant.
Shall we explain what we mean by a silent walk? It's not that you are completely silent, although ideally. I use them as a way to stop owners
stop rambling,
nagging at their dogs. And I gig, but I tell them, I'm like, you're just nagging all the time. Stop. Like, you're not allowed to say anything to your dog. And it teaches the dog to have some responsibility over their own safety on the walk and their own recall. And you reward the dog for coming back when you've not asked, and actually it can transform walks. Personally, I love them, and I teach my dogs that I will call you, but there is a huge responsibility on you to know where I am just as much as for me to know where you are. And I reward them highly for their check-ins, but it just makes life so much easier.
I like combining the silent walk with elastic walking. So that's, instead of so that if you go to a field and you walk with your dog, humans are so loop rooted and A to B rooted, they will do a loop of the field around the outside, which with some fields you can't walk through the middle because it's a farmer's crop. But with elastic walking, you become more unpredictable for your dog. So that's the idea, that you walk in any direction. If you change direction, does your dog then check in and go, oh, hang on, where are you going? And they're going to kind of come back in towards you, almost like they're on a big elastic bungee cord. And without you calling them, if they come back into you, then you reinforce it, you feed, and then you go again. So you can make sure that you are slightly more unpredictable in where you're walking, so your dog works a little harder to check in on where you are. You're not trying to hide from them.
No.
But you are sort of making, again, the dog have a bit more responsibility over knowing where you are.
Because a lot of people will enter a field, let the dog off the lead, walk in a loop around, get 10 meters from the gate, call their dog, put the dog back on the lead and go home.
Yeah.
And the dog knows this.
And the dog won't come back to you.
The dog won't come back at that point because they know it's the end of their walk. And also they pay you no attention on the 20 minutes you walked around the field because they know where you are and where you're going.
Yeah.
Whereas if you take away the nagging, if you stop calling them, because sometimes we lose trust in our dog, they go so far and then we're like, oh my God, they need to come back to us. Whereas just allowing them a little bit, changing direction maybe, and then rewarding them for coming back in, keeps this kind of invisible boundary. That elastic you talk around is just one length and then they're always coming back.
Yeah.
And it can transform people's walks.
Definitely. And one of my brother's dogs, the reason she is now off lead is because we went to walk somewhere that was, I think it was _ Couesvalley. It was a little bit more open. She didn't really know it very well. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go round there on my own. And she sort of ran off round this hedgerow and kind of cockily thought she could come round the other side. There was no way of her coming through it. And my brother was like, we're just going to keep walking and see what she does. I was like, I can see her.
Yeah.
I know she's okay. She's safe. And she did a bit of a panic and she was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Now we got to see someone. She doesn't like water, but she found this waterway that she went down into, came back to the side, and she was like, oh my God, I lost you. That was really scary. But I tell you what, since that point, if I go out of sight for a second, she flies so fast towards me. And it is that moment where we were not on her, where it was safe because there was no roads around, there's no cattle, there's nothing. She came back, and she doesn't approach dogs. I know she doesn't approach dogs. She doesn't like to do that. So, you know, under that circumstance, actually, she did learn quite well to come
I think
back.
you can in the right environment, you can cause that mild, like, you should know where I am feeling in a dog. You can't do it in all environments, but you can reward them for making the right choice without telling them. I think sometimes we're so on top of our dogs all of the time that we are unable, or they are unable, they don't think for themselves, they don't need to, because we're doing all the thinking for them. So just thinking about calling them less, rewarding them more, I think you'll find that would be a really fun way to learn how much you can trust your dog.
Yeah.
Please don't do this with flight risk dogs.
No, and if you have a dog where they're adolescent or you're unsure, or you're in newer environments, just be careful. But you can get trackers. You can
also have a drag line on them. It doesn't have to be fully off the lead. It is just thinking more about when you're calling them and why you're calling them. And understanding that a lot of the time they didn't need it.
Yeah. And you can, the reason I set this homework up wasn't even necessarily to do it on that such a big scale in a field or anything. It was actually because I wanted people to see that you can use so many less words with your dogs and get more out of them. So it was if your dog checks in at any point, you can be completely silent, no cues whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if your dog checks in, you can mark yes and you give a treat. So you can use a reward marker and that's it. And then it was amazing. Like, people were like, oh my God, my dog checks in more.
Yeah.
And they walk slower because they're like, oh, are we still together? Yeah, okay, cool. I feed.
I also think sometimes, because we're a very verbal species, we talk a lot to our dogs. A lot.
We want therapy from them. This is what we're asking of them.
and within that chatter, there is the occasional word that they know: come, heel, leave it, whatever. But it is so lost in all
the jargon,
the waffle,
that
the dog isn't listening to us. So if we can reduce how much we talk in general, they are going to listen more to those words that they recognize. So
it, like, simply put, like, if you're asking your dog to sit because it's the easiest thing for me to you know, say, name, sit, yeah, or oh no, come here, please. Yeah, like where's the cue in that?
Exactly.
Like for the dog, like it's not, you're being nice as a human, you're trying to be nice and you're filling the space with noise, but for your dog it's clarity that they need.
Absolutely. Recall is a classic one of that.
Yeah.
What? Like, Fido, come, or whistle.
Yeah.
Like it's more, it's got that urgency to it as well. So yeah, have a go at it and see how you find it. I love it. And then it also means when your dog is more mature or slightly better, that your walks are just so much easier, because you know where your dog is, but your dog also knows where you are, and that connection is huge. I think actually a lot of this is, it will all help build more connection with your dog doing different stuff.
I think so.
Because sometimes, and I know I'm guilty of this, especially when I've been at work all day and I've been doing a lot with people's dogs. When I go on my walks, I just want to walk and just like decompress. And so Stan does get quite a lot of time of just doing his own thing. Whereas actually, when we get to a tree or a sign or something that we can do stuff together, he's like, oh my God. So
and you know what we sort of advocate is treetops walks as well. So treetops walks is about having these zones on your walk. So rather than you do your loop or you're out and back, it's you go from home or from your car or wherever to the first little zone, which isn't far away. And you can choose what you do on that zone, and it depends what's there. You might do a bit of parkour, you might do a bit of relaxation, you might sit with your dog and just watch the world, and then you might move to another zone, and then you might do a little bit of like, you know, go fetch the ball, find the ball, find the treat, whatever you pick, and then you come back to the calm zone, and you move between them. So if you potentially do have a little bit more time for that one walk, or it's one in every, you said if it's 14 walks a week, you can do 3 a week where you do this and you just move between the zones. Actually, for a lot of dogs that are a bit more overstimulated in the environment or nervous of stuff, using that is a good way of just bringing them down in energy. And the relaxation thing is super important. I feel like we don't sit still with our dogs much.
No.
Ever, really.
No.
On a walk.
No. No, unless we're going to a cafe and then we're in a really challenging environment.
Yes. Yeah. So we don't bridge that gap very well. And I think for my puppy clients, I like to say to them, if you can drive to a park, or you can, sit at a park or sit in a place that's out of the way, that's quiet, near the end of your walk, perhaps where you have burnt a little bit of energy, and you just spend a little bit of time sitting with your dog, give them a Kong and just let them watch in that environment and just exist in it.
Yeah.
A lot of our spaniels in the school are really busy. So actually, if you're still with them completely, they'll sit. If you move at all,
straight up, ready to go.
No steadiness. No. So it can help build a little bit of steadiness as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and for me, I tend to do that because I do like to go walk into town for a coffee and then walk back. But I will try and sit on the way back and drink my coffee for a bit, just to have that that time of, I'm just going to sit, drink my coffee, watch the world go by, and then we can poodle home.
Yeah.
That's quite a long episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really good though.
Yeah, hopefully we've given people lots of ideas, or just refreshed the thought process behind the walk, rather than you don't have to do them all. Some are going to work for your dog and you, some are not. But just trying to think what would work for my dog, and how can I start to incorporate that into daily, weekly walks. And if you have to be up at 5 walking your dog, don't do it then. But maybe on a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, got a bit more time.
They can put some paws on a bench or something.
That's it. Or go get coffee.
Yeah.
That's what I've taken from this episode, that I need to get more coffee.
I think that's the one.
That's the one. That's what we're looking for. Brilliant. Well, let us know what you try and what works for you. And, if there's anything that's kind of really helped, that would be good to hear back from you.
Awesome. See you next week.
See you next week.